So the Board of National Bank of Kenya, in a circular with the shareholders, has suggested that KCB's takeover offer of one share for every 10 NBK shares is an undervaluation. What does this mean for the transaction, George?
First of all, it's a bit of surprising. I think I didn't see this coming, but I think they're fair in their evaluation. Remember that after KCB tabled that offer to the National Bank of Kenya, the board of directors actually said they're going to seek an independent valuation of the company, in which case the independent valuer has advised the board that the correct valuation should be about the per share valuation of National Bank of Kenya is 6.10 shillings. Effectively, what they're saying is that the share ratio, the share swap ratio, should actually be one share of KCB for every 6.23 shares of National Bank of Kenya. So essentially, if you compare with the KCB's offer of one for every 10 shares, it's an undervaluation. Essentially, what this means is that it's if you look at the shareholder circular, it's actually in the chairman's report. It's actually more of an advisory caution to shareholders. In the end, they're still recommending that offer to shareholders. They're not actually saying this transaction.
This is how it's supposed to go.
Yes, but they're still recommending. But it's just a word of caution to shareholders. Hey, look, these guys are giving you this offer, but they've undervalued us massively, in the region of 60%. Okay. So I think that for one, it has three implications. One is that because we are still within the window where KCB can vary an offer, they could still go back and vary that offer. Or two, shareholders can actually reject on the basis of that advisory caution from the board. They can actually reject this transaction or accept. So it's just that, look, how can we deal? Can we deal with this price? Are we comfortable with it? Yeah. So it's a call, largely a call for shareholders to make.
All right, it's more of an advice. But from where you're sitting, I mean, you've been in this industry for quite some time. What do you foresee when it comes to this transaction between?
So this transaction, look, if you go ahead with the chairman, is actually with that advisory notwithstanding, the chairman is saying two things. One is that we don't have a competing offer that can help us discover a marketable price. So they don't have a competing offer, that's one. And two is that they really need the capital from KCB. Yeah? So essentially, what they're saying is that, look, we just have to go on with this transaction. We don't have a competing offer. We don't have nothing else. We don't have any other offer on the table. We need the capital from KCB. Let's go on with that in mind.
George, who do you see as the main actor here?
I think for me, if I look at the posture and the texture and the tone of that statement from the chairman.
Posture, texture, tone. So many things you're looking at.
Yes, from that statement, I see all of it, NSSF written, all of it. Yeah, it's NSSF. And also remember, beyond this advisory, Parliament's Finance Committee has dispatched the Auditor General to do a special audit on NBK. Whose the audit outcome, I don't know how it's going to be used, but this could actually be a potential delay point. So we have Parliament taking over the special audit. You have the board advising shareholders that there's an issue of undervaluation here. I see NSSF all over it.
All over it?
Yes.
You're reading it all over NSSF?
And I say that for two reasons. One is because the transaction actually favors Treasury. It gives Treasury an upper hand to the extent that there are about 1.1 billion shares, preference shares that are going to be converted in a ratio of 1:1. Treasury holds on about 900 million of them. If they're converted on that same ratio, Treasury gets more upper hand in KCB. And secondly, my view is that I've observed these two entities for about 5 years now. To me, they didn't appear like they see eye to eye.
And this is, you've spoken of Treasury, and the head of Treasury, who is, of course, Henry Rotich, went back to the Guest House to tell the members there that if KCB does not acquire NBK is almost as good as
collapse.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's a little bit drumming, it's a drum beats, sort of drum beats. Tells you that Treasury actually is more in favor of this transaction going ahead.
Okay, so what's the final take? The
final take is that I don't see this advisory from the board stopping the transaction. I think the transaction will still go on. I also don't see space for anybody tabling a competing offer. It's a too complex transaction.
Do you see any of them changing their prices?
I don't see that.
All right. It is a developing story. Of course, we'll be bringing our people up to date. Thank you so much. We do appreciate your time, George.
You're welcome.
You can always catch George on
Market Show.
Markets
YouTube
Today.
Live.
YouTube Live every single day at 9 p.m. I mean at 9 a.m. and at 2:30 p.m. Thank you so much.